Welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And this is hopefully, this will be the last video on uh, relationships. I originally intended this little video lecture series uh, to be about how to create an actual spiritual relationship with a partner, like a loving relationship. Uh, and then it obviously kind of took a detour because we needed to understand it better. So, and you kind of need to understand what my whole channel is about and how I organize and communicate things. And it is through the Western Mystery School tradition, which is numerology, astrology, tarot, and the Kabbalah. Kabbalah being the heart of the organizational principle uh, of Western mystery teachings. And that would also include the Tree of Life, because all the Platonic shapes and the Tree of Life fit within the Flower of Life. So the Flower of Life is a symbol that's pretty much universal. So we kind of are talking about universal symbols. And myth, legends. So that would throw in the Bible, the Book of Revelations, and any fictional work. We seem to weave together stories, patterns, fiction, nonfiction, archetype patterns is pretty much the language we use to communicate. So this information doesn't have to be strictly just for like personal relationships. This can go into how you work your magic because you're always in relationship. And so, one of the key takeaways of Kabbalah, um, the occult mystery style of Kabbalah, so it would be the mystical Kabbalah, not the Orthodox Kabbalah. So this really doesn't have to do with any religion or faith or people. And insider sources pretty much let me know the origins of the Kabbalah actually go back to Egypt. Insider sources also uh, inform me the origins of the Tarot are also in Egypt. So, way back when, Egypt was a global university teaching center. Okay? And so then those teachings were distributed to other nations, other cultures, and were preserved. And a lot of that information was actually preserved in the world religions of today. So we're not dissing on any religion, culture, faith, heritage, race, gender, or anything like that. But it is my understanding that it was Egypt as the global powerhouse and center of where the mystery school teachings originate. So Atlantis, Lemuria, and those ancient high-tech civilizations, Egypt was out of those civilizations, Egypt was like, I would call it the Earth Heritage Information Center. But anyways, moving on with that little side note that might be kind of interesting for some of you. Um, the purpose of my stuff has been, how do we give information that doesn't get turned into faith, that doesn't get turned into mystical, that keeps with the tradition of Western mystery. Western mystery is an art and a science. And like I would say the Renaissance um, was an attempt to revive Western mystery, you know? And so it is an art. So it's the Hermetic arts. It does include alchemy, it does include um, inner and outer alchemy. When we think of alchemy, we think of transformation. So if you're wanting to have a spiritual relationship, there probably needs to be some transformation, some alchemy going on, which um, kind of, I would say, a lesser form would be what we call magic. So um, let's get more into it because there has to be probably an ascension process, an awakening process to all of this. And the information is put out everywhere. You could go to any used bookstore, you could search online through rare books and find a whole bunch of Western mystery teachings that have been published. And at one point during like World War I and World War II, it actually became vital to publish the information, open up the mystery schools, and allow people to share the knowledge because war, because things were changing with the industrial age. Things were changing. And so, with that, the doors open and out spewed a whole bunch of information. And from that, many Western mystery schools have been created, modern schools. Some in integrity, some out of integrity, some specializing in different areas, and even some moving into new branches with this old knowledge, creating new systems like DNA activations, um, and all sorts of galactic stuff going on that could be sold by a lot of uneducated people um, who have the full education. So it's hard to fill in the blanks and give you a richer understanding of maybe what your DNA activation is about, what ascension is about, what reading the Akashic Records is about. Um, and so we find that a lot of modern people are trying to even organize their quantum theories and they end up using the tree of life, the Kabbalah, you know, as a method to explain dimensions, parallel realities, oneness, all in one as a singularity. Everything happening now, creation is done, so all there is timelines that you can shift from. Whoa, that's a lot of information. And all that is actually found in the Tree of Life. Anyone who has studied uh, things like astrology, numerology, tarot, any people who are adept at astral projection, meditation, lucid dreaming, high levels of intuition, insight, and is interested in channeling and stuff, is considered an initiate. Um, Whether they end up going and getting a formal education or even specializing within these educations and going into a recognized university degree in chemistry, technology, science, of whatever it is. This is all still initiate stuff because our educational system is still based on Western mystery teachings. Chemistry comes from alchemy directly. Geometry comes directly from astrology. Astronomy, astrology, and geometry and have always been together. So, and obviously that means mathematics. So mathematics is the universal language. And obviously any language, because still, once you have to talk and communicate about things, you still have to use the written word. And so education and secret societies or organizations that were passing on information to an elite class. Some people were denied education, not just because of poverty, but literally they were denied education, and only certain classes of people for specific functions were allowed an education. So all the educational institutions were kind of like secret mystery schools. So the reality of it is globally, we're all into it. Now, there's a huge stigma, and we think of maybe people wearing robes and in a dark room with red candles and summoning things. Now, that goes into what we would call spiritual and misinformed, and what I like to sometimes call is folk magic and low magic, um, where Hermetics has always strived to be more of a science-based things. We get the 7 classical notes, 7 ruling planets. We get orders, we get operations, and also part of that was to dive into what we considered supernatural and paranormal activity and try to give it some type of scientific, reasonable, rational, logical way of understanding it. And so those tools were the same tools that we'd use in formal school. Your ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and your numbers, like your numbers. So we would use mathematics. We would use telescopes and measuring devices. And we would develop our 5 senses to a new height, where you would develop clairvoyance, clairaudience, and your clairsenses. These extrasensory perceptions expand your ability to probe into the unknown, the great mystery, hence Western mystery. Uh, there's many levels to the mystery school, um, and psychology directly comes out of the mystery school. Now, what the world is told, uh, you get hints of that, but you don't really get a deep understanding that as above, so below basically points out the mirror like holographic nature of our reality. So, as within, so without. This conscious and subconscious and superconsciousness, this whole Western model of psychology still comes from Western mystery tradition. You get a generic, simplified version uh, that is what the public is educated in, formalized in, understands. But this stuff came from inner universities. So so this is what it's about, and it's pretty simple. So the tree of life fits perfectly into the 7 chakras or 8 chakras, okay? And so the spine, the spine of Osiris, basically. And so it's not really a mystery that the chakra system is universal, and patterns can be superimposed on each other. And what's really interesting about Western mystery is instead of going into elaborate movie like visualizations, within the mystery school they found out symbols are even more powerful. So some of the new agers are like like self-help gurus now. Everyone's getting into mind magic, and they're not really acknowledging the roots of ancient traditions that have been carrying this torch. We've repackaged it as influencers, uh, and self-help gurus of spiritual. But the reality, so let's say you want a relationship. And so you visualize walking on the beach, and they tell you add some emotions and believe and raise your vibration, these simple formulas, and then let it go. That's a lot of work, and you can actually pack more of a punch and send the signal better to the universe or your higher self or whatever source you want to claim through a symbol. So symbols actually can be more potent than like a picture of 1,000 words. It's like, yeah, a picture is great and all, but actually a symbol can get to the point really fast. So, and that's one reason why runes work really well as a divination system. When you really want to get to the heart of the matter or something, simple, blunt symbols can work very well. So it kind of like wisdom is the distilled essence of a broad subject, you know? So, anyways, I kind of went on a tangent, but you can see there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of breadth to Western mystery. Uh, and so I feel like in religion and New Age culture, popular spirituality, young people playing with spirituality, uh, you don't get the full picture. You don't get the scope of it. You don't get all the shades of gray. You know, you get a this or a that. You get a simple 1, 2, 3 formula to process, or hurry up and give me what I want. It's like kind of like fast food. But what I would like to introduce you to is a fancy restaurant where you're going to have to wait a while. And it's not just fancy and expensive and wait a while because it's garbage, it's because it's the freshest. Everyone in the kitchen knows what they're doing. Speed isn't the only concern, it's quality. And there's a method to the madness. There's an artist at work. And you're patient and it comes out good. And you're kind of a foodie. You know it tastes good, you know it tastes fresh, you have a developed palate or you would like to create one, and you want excellence and you want mastery, and you're willing to wait maybe a half hour for your plate because you know it takes time and there's a method to it. So, same with any of this Western mystery school stuff that you're going to get into. But we can hand down. So you can hand down the teachings, you can simplify them, and you can, whatever took you a very long time to develop, you may easily be able to transmit that to the next generation with a simplified method. And so it's easy to get lost in the mysteries because people are bringing up angels, people are bringing up conspiracy theories, people are bringing up religion, good and evil, right and wrong, polarized, morals and ethics, and a whole bunch of rituals, and a whole bunch of magic and hocus pocus. And you're like, you know, where's the calculations? Where's all the angles? Like, where's this? And it can be very disenchanting when, and that would be with anything. You go to a yoga class, you start teaching or learning a certain system, and you find out everyone's at different levels, everyone has different perspectives, and everyone has an assumption about what the teacher is, what the classes are, what magic is, what magic is not. uh and my goal is to kind of sweep all that away and allow you to have your own perspective on it all. But keeping it simple, you can then make it as elaborate as you want and let your own inner genius take over. And so we were using a very simple model of the chakra system. And the heart is the center of it. And it's these three lower chakras that basically govern our life. So everything going on with you really relates to the lower chakras. And these upper chakras don't ever really get fully accessed in your lifetime, especially for someone who hasn't gone through an ascension and an awakening process. So part of that awakening process is getting your heart awoke, cleared out, clean, and the spiritual bypassing on all that is love. Why? Love is the binding ingredient. God and love and Jesus, they're synonymous. And what we need is more love. And love is going to bring peace. And love is the healing agent and the good all. That's not really what the Western mysteries teach. So even on some of my favorite occult Western mystery channels, all of a sudden they'll bring in the love bomb. You know, love is an element and it binds it all together, God's will, you know, uh, or, but the reality of it, it's love, wisdom, and power. It's threefold and it balances each other out. There is no love without wisdom. There is no love without power. Because if love was so powerful, it would be power. And if love was truly the right way, if we would all wake up to love, that would probably come with it wisdom. So making the right choice, if love is the right choice, that means it needs to be intelligent. That means it needs to be wise. So love, wisdom, and power all come together at once. One is not greater than the other. The misuse of power was not wise and it wasn't loving. So if you overdo love, that's not wise. That's not powerful. If you overdo wisdom, it's probably not very powerful or useful and probably not very loving. So it's a balance. And this is what the Kabbalah teaches you. And this is actually what the chakra system should teach you. So everyone got really concerned about their third eye, or everyone gets really concerned about their crown and their heart chakra. And it's kind of like a pyramid. You want to have your lower three chakras strong, clear, vibrant, and functional. And so you don't need to be in a hurry to astral project. You're astral projecting every night. Okay? You're moving through all the dimensions all the time, anyways. And so it's kind of we're doing it backwards, which in a negative way, in a way that's not serving you. It's like we get caught up in trying to get up into the higher chakras, but then you always come crashing back and down and having a tower moment because you don't understand. So what became really popular is the Merkaba, that your inner spaceship. And it's basically the alchemist star three-dimensionally. So it's a four-sided tetrahedron pyramid, one end, coming, collapsing in on top of each other, making a three-dimensional star, and they rotate different directions. And that's like your cosmic elevator that allows you to go vertical through all the dimensions, horizontal, lets you go. It's kind of like your Willy Wonka ship elevator. And you get to go through all the different points in reality, all the different perspectives, and all the different timelines, and you get to travel in your personal spaceship. And so it became popular to visualize these pyramid shapes spinning and rotating in different directions, saying key like mantra key words to get it activated and let it spin and take off. That was great, but you forgot your day job. You forgot to feed your child and it's kind of like people stuck to their screens, and then they're not paying their bills, they're not feeding, cleaning up after their children, they're not being present in their reality. So the why am I bringing that up is because actually the Merkaba is automatically formed when you're in a, it doesn't have to be a full-on lotus pose or full-on classical meditation pose, but when you start the meditation process, the Merkaba automatically starts to form. So I'm just throwing that out there because it becomes important, because what we didn't get to is why meditation is an important part of the spiritual relationship, these transformative relationships, and it starts to show itself in the Kabbalah four world theory. Now we're kind of getting to the end of this video because I kind of went on a tangent, but I don't know who is watching, how much they've heard, and really how much they understand the angle that I'm showing you. But anyways, we're moving through it. So at the highest level, you could basically say is represented by fire. The one after that is represented by water. And the one lower, air, and the lowest where we're at, earth. And we notice, oh my gosh, we notice that fire and water are in opposite polarities of each other. So you can think God and goddess energy. And then we notice in the lower world, air and earth are opposite of each other. And that's the natural order of things. Things left as they are. And so when you get into a meditation pose, you're sitting still, you're breathing, you're aligned, you're centered, the energies flip and it goes fire, air, water, earth. And we get the two feminine downward and the two masculine upward. And so this flipping, which is kind of what magic is, it kind of flips the rules on their head. It inverts things. It does things backwards and inside out. It gives you a different perspective. It turns things over. It automatically does that. So you can think, thinking too much now becomes calm mind. Feeling too much now becomes calm feeling. Acting and moving around and doing the hustle too much now becomes stillness. So it rearranges the four worlds, or how you access those four worlds. And so you could basically say, using the key, which we've talked about, it unites the opposing forces and it brings a different type of order. That was a act of willpower. That was a choice. So we went from active, busybody, hustler, to calm and still, sitting still. And then we went from overthinking to calm mind. And we went from emotional to calm emotions. Fire element stayed the same. Spirit was just fine. And so what we've created is a channel, a direct line to source energy. We've created a circuit that is actually working for us instead of not working for us. So the number one thing you do is kind of like breath control. A lot of people, so some people got really into like rapid breathing to get extra amount of oxygen and kind of have a lucid experience and call it spirituality. So we started messing with our breath work. Some people made a whole art about it. And then we got the fast food version that's being pretty popular. Basically, hyperventilate. Uh, you don't need to do that in meditation. Slow breathing actually works better. Okay? You'll get all the same benefits of the high and the lucidity, but you can actually get there quicker with no side effects just by slow rhythmic breathing, finding your own breath, which will come to you naturally. So sit still and breathe is the key, and it changes everything. 20 minutes of just sitting still and learning to sit still, learning to breathe, your mind will clear itself out and it will become like a crystal lens, and your emotions will calm them and it will become like a calm lake. So now let's look at this as practical terms. If spirit is light and your chaotic mind has now become clear, the light passes through the clear glass like a window or a lens. It can become magnified, it can become focused, um, like a telescope, like a microscope, and you can gain like really powerful abilities. Uh, really powerful abilities now that you know why, and now your emotions are calm. It's like a lake. A calm lake at night reflects the stars back. It will mirror an image. So you can receive the impressions, you can receive the downloads, you can receive the images and inspiration, and then the knowledge. So the Kabbalah basically means to receive through. And so once you sit still, calm the lake, clear the lens or the window, the light, whether it's the moon or the sun or the stars, can shine in clearly without distortions, and you can receive the gift of your own higher self, the gift of spirit, the gift of fire. And so that's how you light. So, in very simple symbols of fire, earth, water, and air, you have now brought the powers to you. And so it's so much better to bring it here to earth. Like you are the light, you are the portal that brings the energy in, to this world. You fill it full of a spiritual energy, of wisdom, of love, and of true power. And, you become, you fulfill your purpose.